Welcome back to the game, everybody. Nikki Kimbleton, and I'll be here with you throughout the evening as well. You know, everybody is talking about this stadium. $63 million in renovations and upgrades, and tonight we are going to give you a front row seat to everything from those spa cabanas with those water features. We're going to show you the video boards, and we're going to take you on a behind-the-scenes tour. We cannot wait to show you that. And also on the field seating, some really great stuff. Stick with us.
All right, we're about a couple minutes from kickoff. As they are about to flip the coin, you can see the Jaguars are wearing their white uniforms with the teal numbers trimmed in black. And the Buccaneers are wearing those scarlet jerseys with the pewter pants, and those are redesigned this year, Mark. So
yeah, different look for the Buccaneers.
That is a 12, by the way, a 1-2 there. Gus Bradley in his second year, of course, as the Jaguars head coach. 4-12 last year, started 0-8 and then 4-4 in the second half of the year, including a 4 of 5 game winning streak after the team returned from London. And Lovie Smith in his first year as the Buccaneers head coach, just a tremendous career at Chicago, as you can see. 81 wins and 63 losses. Also took them to the NFC Championship game where they won in 2006 and then into the Super Bowl. And of course, Chad Henne is the starting quarterback. And Mark, we talked with Chad today, and he feels much more confident this year in the way that the coaches have asked him to run the team at this point.
Well, Sam, it's all about leadership, and Chad Henne is a leader. This is his football team. Last year he entered this season not sure how much playing time he was going to get. He got on the field in 15 games, Sam. This year, he's the guy. Obviously, he's got a young quarterback and Blake Bortles behind him. It will be his team someday, but probably not in 2014.
Jaguars have won the toss and will receive here. And they send Denard Robinson back, as well as Storm Johnson, who, of course, is one of the draft picks as well. Apparently, Tampa Bay did win the toss but did defer, and consequently, they'll have the choice in the second half as well. We're just about underway in Jacksonville. Nice night here tonight, actually, and I can see that both bridges are still full. So we expect the stands to continue to fill throughout the first quarter. Connor Barth to kick off for the Buccaneers. And we'll have our first possession of 2014. Johnson takes the ball 4 yards deep and kneels down. And the Jaguars will start from the 20.
Sam, this is a big drive for Chad Henne. He is not going to get a lot of reps, 10 to 15 reps. Gus Bradley said earlier, even though there aren't many reps, he may play a quarter. It's important to him to establish a rhythm, to move the ball, hopefully score some points. But even though this is the first preseason game and he will not get much time, he wants to move the team.
And he comes out in the I formation. Jordan Todman will get the initial carry and is taken down in the backfield for about a 6-yard loss. Of course, the Jaguars offensively, Mark, will rely on some players who aren't going to be playing this year or this preseason. But in this game, Henne, of course, Marquise Lee, and Zane Beadles, who they picked up in free agency.
Well, so many people are excited about Marquise Lee. Just a really good quarterback, receiver, having a great preseason so far. His training camp effort has been excellent. The Jaguars feel very good about this kid's future.
Jaguars in 3 wide in a single setback. Pistol formation, and the give is up the middle to Todman, who gets back just about what he lost. Cummings on the tackle. And Todman, who will see some significant action here today, Mark, because Toby Gerhart will not play tonight for the Jaguars.
And that's unfortunate because Toby Gerhart is a guy that so many fans want to watch. But you're going to see Jordan Todman get a lot of carries today. He's a tough running back. He had a good season last year. He's going to be a great complement to Gerhart this season.
Once again, the Jaguars with 3 wide receivers, and Henne will attempt his first pass. Dumps it off to Todman, who has a little room to run. It's about a gain of 6.
Well, this is where Chad Henne does such a great job. He sees the pressure and knows that he has to get rid of the ball. He didn't take the sack and put pressure on his punt team. Not a great start for the Jaguar offense, but he stands in there, looks downfield, knows that he has to get rid of the ball, and does the veteran thing. He gets rid of it, has a completion, and they move the ball. Not enough, of course, but it certainly helps the punt team.
The Jaguars will have Brian Anger punt. Eric Page is back deep to receive it. Anger, one of the premier punters in the league, doesn't get his best off. Bounces at the 34 and goes out of bounds. So very effective, as Tampa Bay will take over on about the 23 or 24 yard line. A 40-yard punt for Anger to begin the preseason here. 13:04 to go. No score, just underway here in Jacksonville. Mark, it's important for a lot of the young players to get those first couple of hits, those first couple of plays, to get that feeling of what it's like in this situation.
Sam, you're exactly right. I played a long time, and I can still remember my first preseason game. Nervous. I was anxious. The anxiety was tough. A lot of young players get an opportunity to show what they have tonight.
Buccaneers have Josh McCown at quarterback. McCown in his 12th year in the league. And the easy handoff to Martin. And Martin with not much there. Buccaneers, of course, offensively are going to go with McCown. And McCown is one of their key players at this point. He is in his 12th season. He's played for Chicago, Carolina, Oakland, Detroit, Arizona, and of course his relationship with Lovie Smith brings him here. Doug Martin was actually their second leading rusher last year, and consequently Vincent Jackson, who of course has connections to Jacksonville as well, caught 78 balls for 7 touchdowns last year. So that's what the Buccaneers will look like on offense tonight. Once again, 3 wide in the shotgun formation as McCown has it second and about 9, and it's overthrown to Martin. The Jaguars on that beginning defensive scheme here had Chris Clemens make a play. They've had Red Bryant with some pressure. They've had Senderick Marks with some pressure.
And this is what they wanted, Sam. They wanted a pass rush. They wanted to get after the quarterback. Senderick Marks does just that. That's what Gus Bradley's looking for, and that's what he got in the first series for the Jaguars defense.
And this is one of the situations that they've worked on, getting off the field on 3rd down on defense. Once again, the Buccaneers with 3 wide, and McCown will throw. Pressure from the outside, he steps up, and it's complete. There is a flag in the backfield, and we'll see what the call is. The flag appears to be against the Buccaneers, but we'll see. Holding will be the call, and they'll bring that back once again, and they'll repeat 3rd down.
Well, I'll tell you, Sam, the Tampa Bay offense.
Number 69. 10-yard penalty, replay, 3rd down.
As I was saying, Sam, the Tampa Bay offensive line, they have their work cut out for them. There are 7, 8, 9 very good defensive linemen, and that is the system that Gus has installed into this organization. He wants pressure on the quarterback. He wants to stop the run. They have a great core group of defensive linemen that will certainly make an impact.
He told us today that they've got 10 guys that he thinks can make this roster, and he can't keep them all.
You can't keep them all, but boy, I know he'd love to have them all, that's for sure.
4 wides now and an empty backfield for McCown. 3rd and about 20. A little pressure, and McCown has a little bit there, but consequently, that play is stuffed by the Jaguars, and there was a flag in the backfield.
Well, guess who? Senderick Marks applied pressure on the quarterback 2 plays early in this game. Well, he's fired up to play without a doubt.
Illegal use of hands to the face. Offense, number 75. That penalty is declined. The result of the play, 4th down.
Sam, if you can't block them, hold them.
Hold them, and that is an area of emphasis this year for the officials, Mark, that they are going to be very careful, particularly from an offensive standpoint, that the offensive linemen are not using that quick hand jab to the face in order to unsettle the defensive player.
Sam, you're exactly right. Player protection is very important. Player safety, that is an emphasis for the officials this season.
Punt for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Will Blackman is back to receive the punt for the Jaguars, and he'll take it about at the 32. Blackman moves right upfield. That's what they like. Most important thing, catch the football. Then go north-south.
Well, it was a pretty good return. Not great blocking, but look at the field position at the 40-yard line. Great opportunity for the Jaguar offense.
Nothing here. 11:15 to go in the first. We'll return here on the Jaguars Television Network. Back to Jacksonville, where it's scoreless here with 11:15 to go in the first. Gus Bradley and Lovie Smith have had their teams in camp for about 2 weeks, and this is their first opportunity to kind of go up against somebody else. Jaguars with Chad Henne once again at quarterback, and they have 2 tight ends.
In the pistol formation.
Jaguars with the ball on the 41-yard line, so good field position here. A handoff trying to spread that out, and Todman is again stopped at about the 40. Mark, they're trying to spread the field this year. They think that Todman and Denard Robinson and Toby Gerhart can get out to that tackle spot and turn upfield.
Sam, you're exactly right. They want to get their running backs to the edge. They feel that zone blocking on the wide sides is really going to help them. It serves them well. They've worked on it in training camp. They've done it very well. It will certainly be a part of Jedd Fisch's offense this year, and we expect to see it a lot tonight.
Shotgun formation with two tight ends, and Mercedes Lewis is the intended receiver, and DJ Tioliveria ends up catching the ball.
That's how you draw it up, Sam.
That's exactly what you look like. That's a 13-yard gain, and the Jaguars will have their first down. The two tight ends there, Mark, and one on the outside, and they are running what they like to call their tempo offense. They're already at the line of scrimmage, and they are headed to the next play. Henne with a bootleg here, and he does find Lewis cutting across the field. A little tight end drag there, and he seems to always be open.
Well, when you run the outside zone play, the one advantage that you have is the ability to bootleg. Now, Chad Henne is not the most athletic quarterback, but he's certainly athletic enough to get outside the pocket, and there delivers a good throw to Lewis.
2nd down and 1 after the completion to Mercedes. And the Jaguars come out in a pretty standard formation, hand the ball to Todman once again, who is trying to get to that edge and does. He gets the first down and gets out of bounds. A gain of 3, and the Jaguars are stopped by Jonathan Banks, who knocks him out.
Well, you see that the Jaguars are using that up-tempo offense. What it does is it offsets the defense. They can't get their calls in. They can't be as complicated. You see fewer coverages and fewer blitzes and fewer fronts when the offense is moving the ball at a high pace.
Jaguars with an offset eye. And Todman remains the tailback. And once again, the bootleg, as Henne has plenty of time, but overthrows the intended receiver, which appeared to be Mercedes Lewis. And that'll bring up 2nd down.
Well, Chad's got to be frustrated with that. Again, the bootleg to the right side of the field. He had an open receiver coming across the field. Chad was a little late, not accurate. Unfortunately, it was almost intercepted. Chad, like I said, he's a smart, heady quarterback, and he just missed there, Sam. He wasn't accurate. Sometimes as a quarterback, that's very difficult to do on the run.
Florida's Major Wright, who has come over to the Buccaneers from Chicago, is in on the play. Henne also here incomplete once again. And that'll bring up 3rd and 10. Mike Brown, the 2nd-year man out of Liberty, who's had a very consistent camp, according to Gus Bradley. He said he's been very solid and has not only flashed, but been consistent. And that's certainly what Gus is looking for.
He produces all the time. He does everything well. Huge asset for the Jaguar offense. A guy that did well last year and a big part of what Jedd Fisch has plans for this offense.
And that's something that the Jaguars have been trying to avoid, and they won't be happy with that. And that'll bring up 4th down, and it takes them all the way back to the 49-yard line and out of any sort of field position. I don't know if that ball came before he was ready, or
you know, Sam, it might have been on time, but one thing was for sure, it was high, and it was moving pretty quick. You know, Brewster, that is the question. That's the question mark there at that position. That's unfortunate. It took them out of field goal range.
Brian Anger in once again. Bobby Rainey is back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Anger, no doubt, will try to get this one inside the 10-yard line, and it's at the 11 where the fair catch is called for and made. It is scoreless with 8:34 to go. Back right after this. I guess we'll stay here. There's a late flag on the field, and holding on the defensive side.
Kicking team.
On the kicking
number 56. 10-yard penalty from the end of the kick. Tampa Bay keeps the ball. 1st down.
Tampa Bay 1st down will be at about the 21-yard line. As I said, scoreless, 8:34. This is Jaguars football. Nearly full tonight. And of course, Chief Meteorologist John Gaughan pinpoints dangerous weather where you live. The Weather Authority on WJXT Channel 4. Always watching. Always tracking. Boy, that's a gorgeous sight, isn't it? Tampa Bay with their second possession. Josh McCown 1 for 2 for 2 yards so far, and comes out with split wide receivers and a single back. McCown with the play fake, and the ball is stripped. It gets on the floor, and Puslesny makes the chase, and there is another flag. So Senderic marks with the strip. Puslesny forced him back inside. It was a gain of 9, but the officials will sort it out here.
Sam, if Senderic stays on this, he's going to be the defensive player of the year.
And
holding, defense, number 27, 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
Dwayne Gratz is called for the holding. Senderic is doing exactly what you want him to do.
He
Pressure
really
right
is.
up the middle.
You know, he plays with such power and such speed for a big guy. He can really move. Doing a great job tonight. Boy, the highlight of the Jaguars football team right now is Senderic Marks.
And he was the player of the year last year. I don't think there was any question about that. First down once again, 1st and 10. And handoff in the backfield. Met with some heavy leather, as they say, a gain of 3, and it'll be 2nd and 7. Branch with the tackle and Doug Martin with the carry.
You talk about Andre Branch. Started slow last year in 2013, but came on strong. They like Andre Branch. Tall player, great leverage, a lot of speed, and he will get after the quarterback.
Something happened to him in London, in fact, that just lit a fire under him.
Sam, you're right. When he came back from London, he was fired up and played some very good football.
2nd and 7 for Tampa Bay. Still scoreless here in Jacksonville. 7:20 to go in the first. Handoff once again to Martin, who's bottled up right at the line of scrimmage. A gain of 2. And Senderic Marks is there once again.
It might be time to put the guy over Senderic on the sidelines and get somebody else in. It isn't working. Senderic is on fire tonight. Does a great job getting the running back down, and what a player.
And that's what you're looking for. And I can tell you that when you go into that Jaguar locker room, everybody has that same attitude that Marks had. Let's get after it. 3rd and about 5. McCown looks and is grabbed and taken down, and there's a sack for the Jaguars, as it is once again the kind of pressure that they're looking for on a regular basis. Chris Clemens comes through exactly why they got it.
Well, that's why he's here. You said it best. Without a doubt, one of their premier defensive linemen, and boy, he got held there too, but
right.
but got the quarterback down. Impressive pressure so far.
So far, the Jaguars' offseason acquisitions are making themselves known. Once again, Will Blackman back to receive the punt. This one kind of goes off the side of his foot, but will be very effective as it goes inside the 10 and then inside the 5, and it'll be down there at the 2-yard line as the Jaguars will take over 1st and 10 at their own 2. Stay with us. This is Jaguars football. Jags fans, come protect the bank on September 21st. The Jaguars take on the Colts at 1 p.m. It's the first home game of the regular season. Reserve your seat now for the best game day experience in the National Football League, featuring the world's largest video boards. Tickets are going fast. Get yours today at jaguars.com. We'll talk plenty about the boards, and I can tell you they are impressive even during game time. Chad Henne from the 2, and the handoff to Todman, and he'll get about 2, and that'll be 2nd and 8. Mark, have you ever been in the pool at a football game?
No, this is a first, Sam. I tell you what, just looking across the stadium here, I wish I brought my bathing suit.
Yeah,
I want to go for a cannonball or something.
I'm sure we could arrange for you to do the color right from there. 2 pools, of course, 3.5 feet deep, 25 feet long, 12.5 feet wide. Jaguars 2nd and 8. I formation, and there's some movement on the left side of the line. Either Beatles or Jokel, and we'll see.
All stars. Offense, number 87. Half the distance to the goal. Still 2nd down.
Neither of them, actually. Marcel Jensen, who the players tease as Mercedes Jr. in the locker room.
Well, they certainly look a lot alike.
They certainly do. Henny 3 of 5 for 28 yards so far. And he rolls out and does find a little bit of an opening. Finally, DJ Tialavia is taken down. Yeah, it's one of those plays, Mark, where it looked like he was down, but he was rolling up on the defender, and until you hear the whistle, keep playing.
Especially when you're a fullback and you don't get the ball very often. You want to get that ball in your hands. You want to make the most out of it. Great second effort, certainly by 44.
There's a third down deep in their own territory here in the first quarter. No score with about 4.5 minutes to play. Marquise Lee and Alan Hearns, the free agent, are the wide receivers, and that ball is batted down at the line of scrimmage. Mark, that is an issue that Henny has had, and they have worked on that, but obviously it's something that kills a drive, and the Jaguars will have to punt. Adrian Claiborne with the batted ball.
Yeah, that's frustrating for a quarterback. He had an open receiver, just wanted to get the ball out, hopefully get a first down. But many times, Sam, those defensive linemen, when they know they're not going to get by that offensive lineman, they just stand there and put their hands up. And that was unfortunate because it would have been a completion and probably a first down.
Brian Anger with his heels on the end line to kick it to Eric Page. Page will take it at about the 50. Special teams for the Jaguars expected to be upgraded this year, and in fact, they make a nice play here. No gain whatsoever as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will take the ball. -3 on the return. Stay with us. This is Jaguars football. Still scoreless with 4:15 left in the first. A lot of anticipation here, Mark, as Blake Bortles is warming on the sideline. Know if he's trying to burn off nervous energy or he's going in the game.
Well, Sam, like I said earlier, I remember my first preseason game, and boy, I was nervous. I wanted to give the snap. I wanted to call the play right in the huddle. That's important. That's what's on his mind right now, without a doubt.
Josh McCown, in fact, they have a similar situation in Tampa Bay. Mike Glennon, they think, is their quarterback of the future, but Lovie Smith, familiar with Josh McCown, brought him in his 12th year. McCown with the bootleg of his own, looking for a receiver, decides he's going to run, and slides down just inside the 50-yard line as the Jaguars hold him to a gain of 4. McCown, as I said, played at Chicago, Carolina, Oakland, Detroit, Arizona. Played his first 3 years in college at SMU, and then went to Sam Houston State, where he was drafted by Arizona. And he lives in Jacksonville, Texas, by the way.
How about that? This is his 8th football team. Up to really has been a journeyman for most of his career. Last year with the Chicago Bears, 13 touchdowns and 1 interception. Came on strong for an injured Jay Cutler, and that is the reason he's a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. Lovie Smith really likes this guy, believes he has a lot of football left. Certainly had a great season last year.
2nd and 6, and the Jaguars string that out and keep that. We'll see if the clock keeps moving there, but the Jaguars force a 3rd down. Bobby Rainey, who actually was the leading rusher for Tampa Bay last year, gets the carry.
Look at this defensive front. They secure the edge. They make the running back go lateral. He is not allowed to get upfield whatsoever. Good defense. Very impressed with the defense tonight.
Very nice by the defensive line and Puzzluzny there in case the guy had notions of squirting through there. 3rd and again 6 for Tampa Bay. They got trips left. And McCown looks and throws it over the middle. That should be intercepted and is. The ball is taken by the Jaguars inside the 50, inside the 40. Inside and down could be and is a touchdown for Winston Guy. Winston Guy playing that position perfectly, just as that free safety roaming back there looking, and makes a pretty good move to get in the end zone for the first score of the year.
Well, Sam, that is what the Jaguar fans were hoping for. They wanted to see some great defense. You see the ball overthrown. Winston is in perfect position. One thing you don't want to do if you're throwing across over the middle, you do not want to overthrow. There are safeties back there. Excellent ball skills. And what caused this? It was quarterback pressure. That's the name of the game for our Jaguar defense. Does a good job staying in bounds, keeping his feet. Excellent athleticism for the touchdown.
Winston Guy, 6'1", course 218 out of Kentucky in his third year with the Jaguars. A 68-yard return. Now you notice this looks different, and this is different this year. Josh Scobie with the extra point try from the 15, and it is good, and the conversion is good, and the Jaguars take a 7-0 lead. 2:32 left in the first. Jaguars up 7-0. This is Jaguars football. .232 remaining in the first here in Jacksonville as the Jaguars have taken a 7-0 lead on the 68-yard interception return for a touchdown by Winston Guy. Mark, nice block here by Telvin Smith, who just annihilates his guy right here, and off Guy goes to the touchdown.
Winston Guy, the best defenses in the NFL, Sam, they have safeties who are physical with great ball skills. We saw it with the Seattle Seahawks last year, the San Francisco 49ers, two of the best defenses in the NFL last year. What did they have? Great safeties. We have some very special safeties, young guys, and Winston Guy and Jonathan Cyprien, bright stars for this Jaguar defense.
Josh Scobie kicks to Jeff Demps, if not one of the fastest men in the National Football League, who is taken down immediately on the 13-yard line. And the Jaguars will set up shop defensively deep in that end. Telvin Smith with the tackle once again on defense, and he told us this week to look for him on special teams, that he was going to become a different person between the white lines.
Well, he called it. I mean, one thing about Telvin Smith, high energy, and he has great speed. Good football player.
Telvin Smith, of course, the draft pick of the Jaguars out of Florida State this year. Officially listed at 6'3", 219. Tampa Bay with the first down, and the handoff into the backfield to Rainey, and the ball carrier is taken down. A gain of about 7. Going to bring up 2nd and 3. Telvin Smith once again with the stop. He's playing that will linebacker position, and they're trying to attack that weak side of the field, Mark, but Smith has great speed, as you said, and certainly has that enthusiasm and is shedding blockers well.
One thing for sure is Gus Bradley, he is going to find linebackers who have that speed. That speed equals pressure. You have to have that in the NFL.
2nd and officially 2. A nice stop there right at the line as the Jaguars smell that out and get the job done right away. The fullback Javorsky Lane is stopped right there inside the line of scrimmage.
Well, watch Leroy Reynolds stepping up, very physical. The linemen wash the defensive line down and just leave Leroy right there at that auto position that the Gus Bradley talks so much about.
And that's what they like about Leroy, his power and his ability to sniff things out. Pressure on McCown, he throws it up in the air, and it is caught for a first down at around the 40-yard line. Tampa Bay Buccaneers with a little bit of a busted play and still end up with a first down. A gain of 18, and Vincent Jackson, free agent acquisition last year by Tampa Bay, 10 years out of North Colorado, and it'll be a first down. First and 10 here. And you can see a little contact there, Mark, but no particular call by the official.
Could have been called, Sam.
Yep. First and 10 from the 41. And again, Bobby Rainey with the carry. Rainey was the lead, although Doug Martin got most of the press. Rainey was actually the leading carrier last year for Tampa Bay. Scored 5 touchdowns last year and gained 532 yards carrying the football for the Buccaneers last year. 2nd and about 7. 2nd and 8, we'll call it. And this will bring us to the end of the first quarter, with the Jaguars leading 7-0. Nice crowd on hand on
the end of the first quarter.
Very nice night here in Jacksonville, and a good score according to that man, Gus Bradley. It's Jaguars football right here on the Jaguars Television Network.
Hey guys, welcome back. We wanted to show you some of the great new features that are around the stadium. So I'm here with Bill and Linda, and you guys bought season tickets for these seats. What was it about this experience that you had to have?
Oh, it's great. I mean, look at the weather, and we got the cushion up here in case they crash in. Great seats. I mean, there's only like 35 or 40 seats here, and I mean, look at this. Where can you find this at? Only in Jacksonville.
And I know that you said that the only better seat in the house, your daughter has it.
Beautiful. Cabana zone in the pool. In the pool. That's the only better setting. Otherwise, this is great.
Thank you guys for joining us. Let's send it back upstairs.
Some of the new improvements here at the stadium, and you can see Leroy Reynolds made the tackle there as it brings up 3rd and 4 for Tampa Bay. We've seen mostly second teamers now on the field for the Jaguars defensively. Nate Stuper is in that middle linebacker position. We're looking at Leroy Reynolds. We're also seeing Tyson Alualu for the first time tonight. Telvin Smith is over at that weak side linebacker as well. Little late snap, and that'll be 5 yards, and that'll bring up about 3rd and 9 for Tampa Bay.
Before the snap, false start, offense, number 79, 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
That's about the right number of plays for the first preseason game, Mark.
Yeah, I was just going to say, thinking about Paul Posluszny. I mean, he's the anchor of that defense. He's the quarterback of that defense. He has nothing to prove. Pro Bowler last year, was 2nd in the NFL in tackles. We're going to see him a lot tonight, but he did get a little action. But, you know, it's an opportunity for Nate Stuper to come in and show what he has.
Nate Stuper in that middle linebacker position. Jaguars 3 penalties for 16 yards. Tampa Bay 2 for 15 yards, and it's 3rd and about 10. McCown has the ball stripped, and we'll see whether that's an incomplete pass or whether it's a fumble. It appears it's being ruled as a fumble, and it does appear that Tampa Bay did recover. We'll wait till they pull him off the pile there. But once again, some pressure, this time from Tyson Alualu, and they're now pointing for the Jaguars. Jacksonville Jaguar football, 1st down inside Tampa Bay territory.
A little over 1 quarter play, and there's already two turnovers.
By Tampa Bay, recovered by Jacksonville, 1st down.
1st down for the Jaguars when we come back, right here on the Jaguars Television Network. Back live in Jacksonville, where the Jaguars lead 7-0. Tyson Alualu with some pressure there, and Mark, it could be that Nate Stuper got this ball when it was stripped out.
Well, the defensive line had a game and confused the left tackle, Anthony Collins there. Tyson Alualu, a durable player, a familiar name with the Jaguar defense. Does a swim move, it gets pressure on that quarterback, gets the ball out, and that's what those defensive linemen are taught. If you have an opportunity to hit that quarterback, use that outside hand and get that ball out.
If you have watched Jaguar football for a while, this is something new for you, because pressure on the quarterback is what they've been wanting for such a long time, and they're finally getting it. 2 different strips so far, and 2 turnovers possibly here if the Jaguars remain in possession of the football.
Sam, I think this first string for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensively, they want to get out of the game.
Yeah.
These offensive linemen they've got their work cut out for them. They want this one over.
They're probably looking across the line of scrimmage and saying, you know, it's preseason, right?
Yeah, you know who else wants this over? Josh McCown. He wants out of there. He's been hit. He's been harassed. He's thrown an interception for a touchdown. Not a good start.
Not the way they're looking for. The review is complete, and we'll get a call here as to whether or not the Jaguars remain in possession.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field is confirmed. The ball was fumbled, recovered by the defense. 1st down, Jacksonville.
Confirmed, Jaguars football. So another turnover, and this certainly is exactly what they were looking for. The booth asked for that review. Neither coach, by the way, is charged with asking for that review. The booth can do that these days, and as you know, most of the reviewing is done in New York.
Sam, this is an important drive for Chad Henne. He wants to go out of this game feeling good about the offense. They're in good field position with a good run here.
And Storm Johnson gets his first carry and takes advantage of it. A nice one of those stretch plays we talked about, a gain of 9. It'll bring up 2nd and 1 for the Jaguars, who continue that up tempo. Johnson is in the game as the tailback. We saw Jordan Todman start the game. Mike Brown is in at wide receiver, and there's a handoff once again to the draft pick of the Jaguars this year. Storm Johnson obviously a teammate of Blake Bortles, was very productive in college, 6 feet 215, drafted in the 6th round by the Jaguars this year, and that brings up 3rd and about 3.
Well, it's important for the Jaguars to at least get points. Obviously, they want to convert the first down, but you certainly don't want to take a sack. You certainly don't want to have a bad play. We want to get points on this drive.
Stay on the field and get off the field defensively. Tampa Bay sniffs that out right away. Daquan Bowers with the tackle, and the Jaguars will have 4th down. And this might be a situation where Gus goes for it, and it looks like he is.
Why not, Sam? It's preseason. Your situation of football, you get an opportunity in preseason to work on 4th downs. There will be a time this year where this situation is very critical. It's a must-have. They've got to convert. I like Gus Bradley's decision here.
Jaguars have yet to convert a 3rd down and now have a 4th and 3 from the 36-yard line. Empty backfield for Chad Henne. And there's another snap that's over his head. Once again, the Jaguars will be out of field goal position, and Mark, that once is a mistake and twice is a trend.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Jaguars will turn the ball over here on downs. This is Jaguars football.
Poor start for Brewster at the center position. Unfortunately, you know, the most important thing, Sam, is just to snap the ball on time at the right place to go over Chad Henne's head, and that's not how you want to start the preseason. A lot has been asked of him. You know, he's filling some tough shoes in Brad Meester. 14-year career for the Jacksonville Jaguars. A lot of pressure on this man to perform. Most would say that's the weak link of the offense, and tonight, Sam, I think I would agree with it.
Brewster did a lot of work in the offseason. They like how he tried to take command of that, but the 2 mistakes have put the Jaguars in a little bit of a hole. Mike Glennon is now the quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the handoff to Bobby Rainey will gain about 2, and it'll bring up 2nd and 8. Glennon, of course, started 13 games, played in 13 games last year, threw 19 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, but is a young guy who certainly can learn a lot from Josh McCown.
Well, he certainly can. Lovie Smith likes this young quarterback. Had an opportunity to get Josh McCown, but you're right. Glennon had a good season last year. For a rookie to get 19 touchdowns and only 9 interceptions, completed only almost 60% of his passes. For a rookie, very impressive.
Particularly with all the craziness that was going on at the quarterback position there last year. Glennon changing the signals at the line of scrimmage, and the handoff once again inside. Bounced outside with a little bit of room. Rainey finds it and gets the 1st down. Will Blackman knocks him out, and Tampa Bay moves the chains. Mark, you see Glennon look, hand the ball, and this is designed to go inside, but he bounces it right out there.
Well, that was impressive by Bobby Rainey. Just his ability to change direction, get outside, very good speed, explosive, very athletic, really turns nothing into something and gets some positive yards.
Jaguars are backed up in their own territory. Tampa Bay with 1st down and 10. Glennon looks downfield and fires it over the middle. The ball is knocked down by Bobby Stupar and by Nate Stupar, and perhaps he had a chance to pick that off.
You know, Mike linebackers, they don't get a chance for too many interceptions, but this would have been a great opportunity for Nate Stupar. He wanted that one bad. He was upset with himself. Would have been another turnover for the Jaguars.
Glennon's first pass is incomplete, brings up 2nd down. 2nd and 10 from the 32. Glennon moving players around. 3 wideouts, slot left, and a single back, and they finally called timeout.
First charge, timeout, Tampa Bay. This will be a 30-second timeout.
Mark, the Jaguars themselves have been just productive in some places, but that a couple of mistakes have put them in a little bit of a hole here, and it would be easy to say that this would be this could be a much more dominant performance at this point on the scoreboard than what you see so far.
Yeah, no question, no doubt about it. I think if you look at both sides of the ball, you're pleased with the defense, but you're not pleased with the offense. It really didn't generate too many yards. They ran the ball, had a couple good runs, a couple completions, but Chad Henne was hoping for a lot more in the first part of this football game.
2nd down and 10 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Man in motion, which brings 3 wide receivers. Glennon fires to the right, and the ball is complete. And that'll be about a gain of 5 as Tampa Bay gets the ball to one of their tight ends. They've got 6 on the roster. That one's Tim Wright.
Well, when you're a young quarterback, you want to start your drive with a completion. You give your young quarterback an easy completion, let him get into a rhythm, especially in the red zone. Good decision by Glennon.
You see there the Buccaneers have converted 1 3rd down, and they have an opportunity here. 3rd down and about 4 for Tampa Bay from the 27-yard line. Glennon trying to get the play off. Snap is on time. A little bit of pressure, and the ball is thrown high and incomplete. That'll bring up 4th down. Mike Evans was the intended receiver. But that pressure, Mark, you could see a little happy feet back there, just a little of that.
Well, Glennon was on the sidelines watching the same game we were, and I imagine he wanted no part of that pass rush. Remember, it's not just the starting 4. The next 4 and 5 defensive linemen, they have excellent ability to rush the passer. It's been a good night for that front.
Connor Barth will attempt a 44-yard field goal here, trying to get Tampa Bay on the scoreboard. And that kick is good, and that'll make it 7-3. The 44-yarder by Connor Barth gives Tampa Bay their first points of the night. 7-3 Jaguars, 9:51. This is Jaguars football. Together for the best game day experience in the National Football League at Everbank Field. Enjoy all-inclusive VIP access to the new North End Zone platform. That includes spa cabanas, special group ticket pricing, extensive corporate hospitality, and customized group experiences. Reserve your group experience today. For more information, visit jaguars.com/groups. Tampa Bay will kick. Connor Barth will kick the ball to Storm Johnson, who is in the middle of the end zone as the Jaguars have a 7-3 lead with just under 10 minutes to play. Johnson takes it 5 yards deep and is encouraged to stay, and does, by Denard Robinson. And the Jaguars will set up shop on the 20-yard line.
Well, Sam, the era begins. Guess who's coming in?
And our Gatorade Prime to Perform player is Blake Bortles. Bortles, the 3rd pick overall by the Jacksonville Jaguars in the 1st round. Out of UCF, very productive in college, Mark. Very productive.
Sam and the fans are going crazy. They're all standing excited to see this young man perform.
First play for Blake Bortles is a handoff, and Storm Johnson will gain about 1, and that'll bring up 2nd and 9.
Well, Sam, he called the play right, and he got the snap.
He didn't fumble the snap.
And it's all uphill from here. He's going to be great.
Good stuff. Bortles, of course, has worked almost exclusively in practice with the 2nd team. So this is the way that the guys who are in there now, you see Jacques McClendon is in at the center position, and Jaguars are 4 wide, so we'll have a pass attempt here by Bortles. Fired over the middle and complete. The ball is now incomplete, and a flag on the play. Kerry Taylor, the intended receiver, and it appears it will be pass interference and a 1st down for the Jaguars.
Pass interference. Defense, number 33. Spot on the foul. Illegal contact. Defense, number 33. 5-yard penalty, automatic. 1st down.
Mark, good protection, and Bortles stepped up and fired that thing.
He really did, and that's what you want more than anything else. You want your offensive linemen to protect you, to give you time, to let you get rid of that ball. And what I liked about it, it wasn't a completion to Kerry Taylor, but it was accurate and it had some zip on it.
Contact moves it 5 yards forward, but an automatic 1st down. The I formation, and Johnson gets the ball deep, and there's another flag on the play as Johnson is taken down after about a gain of 1 once again.
Holding. Offense, number 66. 10-yard penalty. Replay, first down.
And this is called on McClendon, who's moved over to that center spot at this point, Mark.
Yeah, and it's been a tough night so far for the centers. Michael Brewster having 2 snaps over his head, and then you get the holding call with McClendon. They have got to find a center. Obviously, we talked about tough shoes to fill, and Brad Meester retiring. They've got to find a guy, an anchor of that offensive line that can get it done. Not only snap the ball where it's supposed to be snapped, but stay away from those holding penalties and simply do their job.
They did draft Luke Bowanko out of Virginia, but doubtful we'll see him until late in the game. Bortles back to throw once again. Open man over the middle, and the ball is caught. Jaguars get it to Allen Hurns, and Hurns takes it for a first down, Jacksonville.
Well, you see the arm strength. Now they're going to the up-tempo offense. This is impressive to me. Jed Fish trusts this quarterback to get his offensive line to the line. Here he is dropping back. He slips a little bit, keeps his feet underneath him, throws a good ball.
Gain of 24 puts the ball officially on the 39-yard line, the I formation, and it is handed off to Johnson, who finds a little room on the outside. About a gain of 6, and that'll bring up second and about 4. Mark, the impressive thing is that Hurns is a free agent who has really shown in this training camp.
Jed Fish really likes it. Look at all this room. That's what you want as a quarterback. No defenders around the receiver. That's
Ideal situation.
That's a good thing, Sam.
That's exactly
You can
right.
complete those passes.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Bortles with the bootleg to the offside and dumps the ball off to the fullback, Will Taufolo. And that'll be a first down for the Jaguars.
Sam, I can tell you, Blake Bortles is loving this. He has a couple completions. He's moving the team exactly what he hoped for. Those butterflies we talked about earlier,
Gone?
They're gone. They're gone. He's moving the team. This is what he did in college. He moved his football team and scored points. Has some momentum going for him right now.
Gain of 12 puts the ball on the 48. First down, Jacksonville. Single back and split wide receivers. The hand to Johnson, and he gains about 4 or 5 up the middle once again.
Just like old times.
A little push on there, huh?
Just like old times for these
right.
men. Johnson and Bortles together again.
2 UCF draft picks by the Jaguars, first round and 6th round. Very familiar, and we've asked Storm about that a couple of times, and he said, the guy's been handing me off forever, handing it up to me. I know exactly how to take it. Bortles identifying who the strong side or the middle linebacker is there in the formation. Johnson with a little pressure inside, and will be taken down for a loss. A loss of 3. Dane Fletcher makes the tackle for Tampa Bay.
We look at that right side of the offensive line. Sam Young gets tripped up and gets some pressure on the perimeter. Really nowhere for Johnson to go.
No leverage at all. Johnson so far 7 carries for 14 yards in his appearance here after taking over for Jordan Todman. True shotgun formation for Blake Bortles, who looks and fires on the little in route. Once again, Allen Hurns finds the open spot, and there is a flag on the play as well. Gain of 8, and we'll see what the flag is. Offensive interference, it looks like they're going to call it.
Offense, number 88. 10-yard penalty. Replay, third down.
Well, they tell the receivers to get separation, but you're not supposed to use your hands, Sam, and push the defensive back away from you. He didn't get away with that one.
Sometimes that's what they're looking for, and sometimes they're not looking for that.
Yeah,
this time they were.
They were, and it puts the Jaguars in a tough position. They had some momentum. These penalties will get you.
5 penalties for 36 yards. Here's Hurns, Mark.
Really is a good route. Listen, I'm not so sure about that call. I mean, it wasn't a huge push off. That's too bad. I thought that was a well-run route.
That's what they're looking for. When they're looking for it, they call it. Bortles once again with the play fake over the middle and tries to get it to Johnson over the middle, but defended there by Daquan Bowers. Bowers, a defensive lineman who dropped back into coverage there, and the Jaguars will have to punt.
Not a bad start. Not a bad start.
Not
for Blake.
bad.
Did some good things.
That's kind of what you're looking for a guy who has been working hard. Give him some success, show him the speed of the game and exactly what's going to go, and see how his teammates respond to him in that situation.
What I like, Sam, is that Jedd Fisch trusted him to do that up-tempo offense where you call the play at the line of scrimmage. Clearly has an understanding of what they're trying to accomplish.
Brian Anger hits this one a mile high, and it lands on the 10 and takes 2 bounces into the end zone. So Tampa Bay will have the ball on the 20-yard line. There are 5 minutes and 13 seconds left here in the first half. The Jaguars lead 7-3. This is Jaguars football.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm standing here with Rob Bortles, Blake Bortles' dad, and this is really a dream come true for you to see your son play in the NFL for the first time, and he did great.
Absolutely. It's been his dream. So once he came here and we talked about it today, it was an easy conversation because doesn't matter what happens, take the opportunity, seize the moment.
What was it like the moment that this crowd went crazy when your son went out there on the field?
Very emotional. That's a tearful moment. I looked at my wife. She was crying. I'm about to cry myself. But, I mean, to see people stand and cheer for your kid who's never done anything in the NFL, amazing.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Thank you so much for joining us, and good luck with the rest of the season. Thank you for the time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, guys, back to you.
Blake Bortles, of course, was a Jaguar fan. His dad brought him here to games occasionally to see football games in the National Football League. There you see him with Jedd Fisch, and Stephen Morris is sitting there, who, of course, played under Jedd Fisch at Miami, and Chad Henne. The 3 quarterbacks there waiting for Ricky Stanzi to show up as well.
What an exciting moment for the Bortles
fantastic,
family. The proud father right there. I love seeing that.
Charlie Sims with the carry for Tampa Bay, and a gain of 2 will bring up 2nd and 8. Mike Glennon is still the quarterback. Glennon to throw. Looks left, throws right. Little swing pass and a nice tackle out there. Charlie Sims gets the ball, but taken down almost immediately after a gain of 2. Jeremy Harris makes the stop. One of those guys that bubble guys, Mark, that these games are the thing that determine whether or not you're going to be on this team.
Sam, these are critical moments for these young players. This is their opportunity, and there won't be too many of them. Every play counts for these young players.
And very important, obviously, we saw Bortles and Chad Henne sitting there together. Very important learning experience as well.
Well, that just speaks to Chad Henne's character. He's a good guy and wants to help the young quarterback, knows it's going to be his team someday, not this year, but they have a very good working relationship.
False start. Offense, number 64. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
Jace Daniels called for the false start. There's a good look at the quarterbacks. Ricky Stanzi, who has come back in magnificent shape this year and really has played very well in the camp. Stephen Morris, the rookie undrafted free agent who was signed by the Jaguars. As I mentioned, Jedd Fisch, the offensive coordinator there, who Morris played under in Miami. Blake Bortles, obviously, and Chad Henne, all 4 looking over what has happened so far here in the first half. 7-3 Jaguars, 3:37 to play. 3rd and 10 for Tampa Bay from their own 19. Glennon with a little pressure and the swing pass once again. A missed tackle in the backfield, but in this case, Charlie Sims is taken down, and the Jaguars get off the field on 3rd down, Mark. A very important thing. Ziggy Hood with the pressure back there once again. That's what the Jaguars are looking for, that pressure on the quarterback.
They really are. The first two defensive fronts have done an excellent job of getting after the quarterback. The quarterbacks have had nothing to complete the pass. There's nobody's open. They've got defensive linemen in their face. It's been a tough night for the Tampa quarterbacks.
Will Blackman is back once again to receive the punt. And he'll call for the fair catch and make it right at the 40-yard line, where the Jaguars will have 1st and 10. Hey, Jags fans, make sure to stop by any one of the 16 area Dick's Wings and Grill before any or after any of the Jaguars games. That's Dick's Wings and Grill, 16 in the area. Stop by before or after the game. 37-yard punt for Tampa Bay. Puts the ball just with the nose of the football on the 40-yard line. Blake Bortles 2 of 3 for 36 yards in his first series, and comes back with the I formation once again. Split wide receivers, and Storm Johnson is the tailback. Bortles straight drop and fires over the middle. And boy, you see that play in practice all the time. And when it's executed well, Mark, there's nothing the defense can do about it.
Sam, you're exactly right. They got the coverage that they wanted. Watch Blake Bortles. His eyes are to the right. He sticks that foot in the ground and just delivers an accurate ball a little bit low. Not every quarterback can throw that route. It's called a skinny post. It's called a bang 8. Not many offenses have that in their offense. And yet, Jed Fish knows that Blake Bortles has the ability to complete that pass.
Good solid timing route. Hearns with the reception, 19-yard gain. Jaguars 1st and 10 on the 41. The bootleg once again, lots of room and an open guy. And in fact, a giant hit on Mike Brown, who still stands up and walks away from that. That was pretty quick there. Brown, the second-year guy. Listen to this.
Well, he got sandwiched in between those two defenders. I think he knew that was coming.
Rashawn Melvin with the main hit there out of the defensive backfield for Tampa Bay. 2nd and 10. Ball still on the 41. Storm Johnson trying to get outside, gets tripped up, and that will bring us to the 2-minute warning after a loss of 2. And the Jaguars, when we come back, will have 3rd and 12. 7-3 Jaguars at the 2-minute warning right here on the Jaguars Television Network. 2 minutes remaining here in Jacksonville, the first preseason game of the year. 1:56 officially here at the 2-minute warning. 7-3 the Jaguars lead. The Jaguars touchdown coming on a 68-yard interception return by Winston Guy. And we've seen the debut of Blake Bortles, who has played very well for a guy that, Mark, they really don't expect to play during the regular season. But still, he has stepped in there and has showed that command, that quarterback's personality that is so important.
Sam, maybe the plans will change after this game. He looks like a 6-year vet.
You're already on that. I mean,
I can't help
played
it.
7 plays.
I like what I see.
Blake Bortles with a 3rd down, looks deep and throws that out route. Oh, and it's just not handled. Nearly caught by Mike Brown, but he can't bring it in. A good throw, though, Mark. Probably a ball that should have been caught.
Oh, it should have been caught, and the throw before should have been caught. Both corner routes, he put it absolutely on the money. And that's unfortunate. The quarterback is doing his job. Look at him stand in the pocket, deliver that ball. He's confident, he's poised, and he's upset. He wanted that one.
And absolutely, the replay showed that ball absolutely should have been caught in his hands and couldn't bring it down. Eric Page is back to receive the Brian Anger punt once again. And Anger, with the nose of the football down, kicks that like a kickoff. That'll land about the 5, and it will go into the end zone. Sometimes that'll kick back the other way or kick straight up in the air, but in this case, it goes in, and Tampa Bay will get the ball on the 20. 1:42 remaining here in the second. Jaguars lead 7-3. And once again, we see Mike Glennon step in as the quarterback. Glennon 3 of 5 for 11 yards so far. And we talked about him from last year. Mark, he really was forced into a situation. They didn't want to play him, but they had a lot of other issues. So Glennon went in the game. And as you said, pretty good for a rookie to throw 19 touchdowns and only 9 interceptions.
It really was a tough situation in Tampa, but the quarterback responded. And as you said earlier, he's the quarterback for the future. Lovie Smith likes what he saw last year, but chose to get a veteran in Josh McCown. They're pretty solid at the quarterback position.
Completion to the former Florida Gator Lewis Murphy, who signed as a free agent this year. Murphy's 6th year in the league, and that brings up a first down just outside the 30-yard line. Glennon looks deep. He's got a man open, and it's Murphy again, who is knocked out of bounds.
Well, this is a good test for Mike Glennon. The 2-minute drill. You've got a long way to go, and you do not have a lot of time on the clock. It's important to make good decisions, manage your team, move your team, and hopefully get some points before half.
Gain of 21. Josh Evans knocks him out of bounds, and it's first down once again, this time at the 47-yard line. Glennon comes out with a staggered, pretty standard-looking formation. 4 wide receivers. Glennon steps and fires, and the ball is either his arm or the ball got tipped there at the line of scrimmage, but good pressure either way. Well,
those defensive linemen, they know the quarterback's going to throw. They pin their ears back. and they get after it. I think he just got a hand on Glennon's arm.
Absolutely good solid pressure once again by the Jaguars, as they are going to rotate, as we have said, many players in there. In that case, Gerald Rivers was in there, as well as Chris Smith was in there, who they really like his ability to get to the quarterback. Glennon once again steps up. This one's overthrown, and it overthrows everybody once again. The Jaguars with 90 players on the roster, Mark, and about 79 are going to be eligible to play in this game. So we're going to see a lot of guys in there. You see some of the different numbers that we haven't seen on a regular basis. We saw Chris Smith in there. Smith wears number 98. We saw Ziggy Hood in there, who of course one of the free agent acquisitions that they're counting on to make that kind of pressure. Once again, this time 3rd down and 10. Glennon drops to Pat. Good pressure over the middle, but I think that ball might have been dropped. Telvin Smith with the coverage, and I think it was dropped, and that'll bring up 4th down.
Well defended by Telvin Smith. He's doing good things on special teams. He's doing good things on defense.
He told us he was going to be a man possessed, and he certainly has been that.
Well, he's an undersized linebacker, and he's got an oversized tight end he's covering. It's a poorly thrown ball, but well defended.
Once again, Blackman back to receive the punt. High and a fair catch. Oh. And he lets it go. The ball does go inside the 5-yard line. Blackman looked like he wanted to catch that, Mark. He started to put his hand up and then let it go over his head.
Well, Sam, he should have caught it. Now the ball's at the 4-yard line.
43-yard punt. And you see Blackman, and the rule is, right, put your heels on the 10-yard line. If it goes over your head,
and that was
let
close.
it go.
He might have been looking at the video boards.
Not hard to miss.
I can't take my eyes off the video boards.
They're pretty fantastic. I mean, look, if you're looking up at a punt and this is what you're seeing and the ball's coming through it, that's going to be an issue maybe occasionally. The 43-yard punt puts Bortles in position with 51 seconds left. They'll try to run a little 2-minute here, and a nice move by Storm Johnson to get outside.
Sam, it'll be interesting to see what they do with Bortles. Do they want to just get to half and run a few plays, or are they going to try to score some points?
It looks like a timeout here for the Jaguars
Timeout,
with
Jacksonville.
40 seconds left. Bortles so far 3 of 6 for 55 yards. And of course, you need to stay tuned if you would. We'd like you to for the Ticket City halftime report coming up. We'll have a feature on all the new happenings here, of course, at Everbank Field. Plus, Mark Brunell and I will bring you some of the first half highlights and the stats. So stick around for the Ticket City halftime report that's coming up right here at halftime. So far, the workhorse in the backfield for the Jaguars has been Storm Johnson, 9 carries for 21 yards. And Blake Bortles, as I mentioned, 3 of 6 for 55. And with that timeout, it appears that the Jaguars would like to run a little 2-minute drill here.
It's a situational football, an opportunity to develop your young quarterback, to see how he responds in a pressure situation.
And there's the first sack that he suffers as a professional. Horse collar and taken down.
Well, that's good for him, Sam. He got his first hit. Got to be hit at least once.
So all you're looking for is how he reacts in these situations, certainly. And man just comes clear without any difficulty and takes him down. So that'll bring up 3rd down and about 7. Stephen Means with the pressure there on the outside. Again, the Jaguars call another timeout. And Mark, if you look at the offensive line there, this is a very different looking group than the group that started the game. McClendon, of course, is at center. You do have Sam Young at the right tackle position. And a lot of, in fact, it's all brand new guys in there. Kerry Taylor is one of the wide receivers. Hearns is in there. Mike Brown is in there as the slot receiver once again. And Johnson remains as the tailback.
What I like about it, Sam, is that you watch Blake Bortles, and he knows those guys in front of him. He knows their weaknesses. He knows that there could be some pressure, and yet he still stays in the pocket. On that last sack, he was smart. He tucked the ball. He understands that you don't want to give them the ball in that field position.
Expired and then jump back to 23 seconds. but we're going to go with the time we have on the field. 18 seconds remaining in the quarter.
He just eats the ball. It's just very smart by him. He's been coached well. Last thing you want is a turnover inside the 5.
Tuck the ball and get on the ground. Bortles with 3rd down and about 9. And he's got the football running outside, slides down. And his first run as a professional has a positive gain of about 3, but the Jaguars will hopefully let the clock run out. Perhaps.
Well, we talked about it in the open, and I mean, Blake Bortles is athletic. I would have recommended sliding a lot earlier. I know he wanted that first down, but
yeah, part of his head wasn't, and his helmet came off as well. That ends the first half as well, and the Jaguars, you know, the Buccaneers don't call timeout there in order to have a punt, or it's the first game of the preseason. Bortles, exactly what you would expect of a first-round draft pick in the first game, poised and perhaps looks, as you mentioned a couple of times, well coached, understands the game, and doesn't mind throwing that timing route.
You know, Sam, what I saw was accuracy. I mean, he put the ball exactly where he wanted to on every pass. You would think a young man, a young quarterback in his first preseason game in the NFL would be a little shaky. He was not that, Sam.
Even when he slipped on the one throw, he just gathered himself and fired that in there. And as you always said, and you've been telling me this for 20 years, put your foot in the ground and step forward, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Nikki Kimbleton is with us. Nikki, what do you got at halftime?
All right, well, we're here with Coach Gus Bradley. And, Coach, you know, the defense just doing awesome. They put the points on the board. How are you feeling about their performance?
Well, it was good. You know, we wanted to really have the ability to try to contain the run. Thought we did a good job of that. And then we wanted to see our 4-man rush. So we got some pressure. It's early. That consistent play, though, showed up.
I know Henny is your guy, and he has really taken over leadership of this team. How did you feel about him in the first quarter tonight?
Well, you know what? Sometimes with offense, we got to execute. And it's a precision game, and sometimes with offense, it takes some time. And we just got to keep working through it. Same thing with Tampa. So hopefully in the second half, we get better execution.
What are you gonna say to them inside the room tonight?
No different than the beginning. Let's go out there and execute in the second half and see our performance improve throughout the second half.
All right, Coach.
All right, thank you.
7-3 Jaguars at halftime here in the first preseason game in Jacksonville. An exciting first half, particularly if you like defense. Some different things for the Jaguars, and Blake Bortles makes his debut. We're back with halftime right here on the Jaguars Television Network. Jacksonville Jaguars football is brought to you by Everbank, the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's all right. It is all right, Mark. 7-3. 7-3's okay. In the start of the third quarter is a good look at Blake Bortles, who will be back in the game. The Jaguars are going to look at virtually everybody on the roster that they can at this point. And they have done just that with the kickoff team. And there is the kick as we're underway here in the second half in Jacksonville. Special teams, an important part of what the Jaguars are trying to upgrade, and there is a flag on the play at about the 18-yard line. Holding against the return team will probably be the call here, and that'll move it back half the distance to the goal line.
Doing the return, holding 85 of the receiving team. Half the distance of the goal. First down, Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay will set up shop there about the 9-yard line or so. And we'll give you a rundown of who's in and who's out. Mike Glennon is still the quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the Jaguars have Nate Stupper still at that middle linebacker position. And a lot of guys with clean uniforms, Mark.
Yeah, but they're excited.
Exactly.
They've been looking forward to this for 2 weeks. This is their opportunity.
7-3 Jacksonville, 14:54 as the second half is just underway here. Some of the smoke is finally cleared from that halftime show. That was pretty impressive with the laser lights and the lights out, back on and ready to go. Glennon 5 of 10 for 44 yards. And hands off once again, bounced outside once again by Bobby Rainey, or is that Charlie Sims? That is Sims. Sims, the rookie out of West Virginia, their 3rd round pick. A gain of 9, and that'll bring up
offense. Number 87. Half the distance to the goal. Replay, first down.
They're going the wrong way, Sam.
It was going to bring up 2nd and 1, but they'll move it back, and it will now once again be first down. 1st and 15 as Tampa Bay continues to have the problems with penalties and certainly that pressure up front. Not something that certainly Lovie Smith will be interested in.
Well, one thing you see many times in that first preseason game and even throughout preseason are a lot of penalties.
First down, and there's the handoff once again, stacked up in the middle. And this is something that the Jaguars have been talking about since Gus Bradley came here. Remember, Bradley was the defensive coordinator in Seattle. If that ball gets in the pile, he wants that pile to stop or go the other way. But too often, it has gone into the Jaguars' defensive backfield, and that's one of the reasons that Red Bryant and Chris Clemens and everybody else has been signed to stop that right there.
You know, they struggled obviously on defense last year, but I think I get the feeling you would agree things are going to change in 2014 for the Jaguar defense. I know it's early.
It's early, but you certainly have some guys who have had productive years in the past, and no reason to think that they won't, as the Jaguars now face and force a 3rd down situation. Good solid pressure there by Rashad Reynolds coming in from that cornerback position. You see Chris Smith in the game. Chris Smith is somebody they really like. Wears number 98 from Arkansas. By the way, this is not only the first NFL game he's ever played in, this is the first NFL game he's ever seen.
Is he not a football fan?
He and Telvin Smith told me this week. I was standing with both of them on the practice field. Telvin Smith said, "I'm really not a football fan. I can't tell you anything about the history of the league." He goes, "I know who like John Elway and Peyton Manning are."
You know what? It's Xbox, Sam. I think it's
Is
Xbox.
that it?
That's what's taking our young people away from the NFL.
Tampa Bay with a timeout with 13 minutes to go in the 3rd. It's their first, of course, of the 2nd half. The Jaguars lead 7-3 on a beautiful night in Jacksonville on the Jaguars Television Network. Welcome back to Jacksonville. 13 minutes remaining in the 3rd period as the Jaguars still lead 7-3. Mike Glennon brings the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to the line of scrimmage with a 3rd and about 6 from the 13. Penalty flag, that'll be offside, and the pass is incomplete, but there will be 5 yards tacked on here, and it'll bring up still a 4th and short. Lavelle Hawkins was the intended receiver.
Offside. Defense, number 98. 5-yard penalty. Replay, 3rd down.
98, as we mentioned, Chris Smith. Chris Smith has been in the game. David Carter is in the game. Joe Young and Josh Evans are the safeties. Demetrius McCray is on one side. Jeremy Harris is on the other side at cornerback. You see Telvin Smith, number 50, who is now coming off the field.
Oh.
Third and just under 1 from the 17-yard line. And I don't know. That does look like a first down.
I think you got it, Sam.
Second effort looks like got in there. Nice,
good job.
Nice play by Jeremy Harris, but that second effort did allow for that first down. Mark, you hand it to that fullback like that, and
all he has to do is fall forward.
Basically, right.
Guy's a load.
1st and 10 for Tampa Bay, down 7-3 here with just over 12 minutes to play in the 3rd. Glennon with a play fake, looks left, throws it deep. And that's that one-on-one play a lot. This one out to Lewis Murphy, of course, from the University of Florida, who did sign as a free agent with Tampa Bay this year. You float that up there, Mark, and when you get that one-on-one situation, and you hope your guy either has the opportunity to get it or pass interference.
Especially, Sam, when you're an offense that just really needs to generate some yards. They need a big play. They need a spark. There's no better spark in an offense than when you complete a good ball down the field. But you're right. As a one-on-one matchup, they're going to test these young corners.
Eric Page has come out on Demetrius McCray here at the bottom of the screen. 2nd and 10. Glennon to throw again. Good solid and firing throw to Lewis Murphy, and that'll be very close to the first down. That's a gain of 10. And they do move the chains. A Tampa Bay first down. Jeremy Harris makes the stop. Mark, this is where a lot of players can really show themselves, particularly the guys who are wearing white, because it's almost the start of the doldrums of the second half, and you've got to keep your energy up and show the coaches that you want to be in there.
You really do, and these guys have been standing around for 2 quarters and now have to go in and perform. Not easy to do.
Glennon on the bootleg, Harris defending Lewis Murphy as they cross the field. And that should bring up 2nd down.
Well, Glennon certainly missed, threw it inside. Probably best. The defender underneath probably would have been an interception.
Tim Wright, the tight end, was the intended receiver.
That's what you call a good miss.
Good miss. Second and 10. Glennon with trips left. Looks right and fires right and completes to Murphy. A gain of about 9, and there's a flag. And it will be against the Jaguars. Interference against the Jaguars. And that'll bring up an automatic first down.
Pass interference. Defense. Number 31. Spot the foul. Automatic first down.
Could have been another call there on Chris Smith, who's getting off the line of scrimmage quickly, and here Mark is the penalty.
Oh, we see Jeremy here. He gets his hand on the receivers. Again, not much, but they're looking for it. It's an emphasis this year, and a lot of flags are being thrown.
Right. Plus, you get a handful of jersey, and the guy sees it. The flag's coming out every single time. 1st and 10, Tampa Bay from the 37. The handoff to the deep back for just a gain of 1. And that'll bring up 2nd and 9. DeAndre Coleman with the stop. Another one of those guys that is working on that inside, Mark. The Jaguars are looking for guys who can come in and rotate through there and make a play while you're in there. You don't need 10 plays to get ready. You got to make it on the first play you get in there.
No question, Sam.
Glennon with the handoff. Charlie Sims breaks that to the outside a couple of times. And appears to have the first down.
Well, I think we can expect a lot of flags in the second half.
Offense, number 87. 10-yard penalty. Replay, 2nd down.
Safarian Jenkins, another one of those tight ends that they have on their roster, the rookie out of Washington. That would be the University of Washington. Mark's alma mater, in case you didn't notice.
One thing coaches do not want, they do not want all of these penalties. They do not want sloppy play. Coaches Lovie Smith and Gus Bradley always preaching discipline, playing smart, not having foolish penalties. There are going to be some penalties, but you just don't want foolish penalties that really set your team back.
Gus talks about stressing players all the time and hopes that putting them in this situation, maybe with guys they haven't practiced with in these tight situations, will let them show. And Chris Smith makes it once again. I mean, this is one of those guys that they have liked since the day he showed up, and he is getting a quick jump off the ball, so much so that it looks like he's almost offsides, but loss of 4.
Sam, I agree with you. I mean, I thought these last 3 passes could have been called against Chris. He's getting a very good jump, which is allowing him to get to the quarterback.
Smith is a rookie 5th-round draft pick out of Arkansas. Listed officially, and he looks bigger than this, particularly when you're with him, 6'1", 265. He does have that quickness. He's playing that Leo position that they're talking about. Glennon checks down and dumps it off. Mike James with the catch and escapes one tackler and gets near to the first down marker.
He didn't have much downfield. Glennon looks. We've talked about the defensive front getting pressure. That secondary has done a good job tonight.
Gain of 17, Mark, and look who makes the tackle. One of the defensive linemen who still comes downfield in order to make it. Coaches will absolutely recognize that.
Well, that's DeAndre Coleman again for his second tackle. They love that. They love the pursuit. They love the no-quit attitude, running down the field and making plays.
Tampa Bay in punt formation. The Jaguars, I think, sent Chad Hall. They did. They sent Chad Hall back to receive. This will be the first opportunity to see Hall. Hall, who's officially listed at 5'8", calls for and makes the fair catch at about the 17-yard line. Hall's been around the league a little bit. He's not just some guy who's trying to make it. A lot of coaches like him. Good hands, 35-yard punt, gives the Jaguars possession. We'll see Blake Bortles come back in the game once again. The Jaguars will set up shop once again just outside the 16. This is Jaguars football. Live in Jacksonville, the Jaguars lead the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 7-3. 8:47 remaining in the third. Special guest from the sidelines is Jaguars defensive lineman Senderick Marks. Senderick, thanks for taking the time to join us here. When we talked to you this morning, you said that it steps up in the preseason, and boy, you guys have stepped it up very quickly.
Oh yeah, we came out to try to build on our fundamentals and just get better at what we had going on during training camp. The guys, we seemed like we gelled together. We had a crowd, we had energy, and it just seemed like we all put everything together. We had good strides with it, so I think it's turned out to be good for us.
Senderick, I have a question. What did you have for pregame meal? Because you came out, you were all over the field. Excellent effort tonight.
Well, I was just feeding off the energy from the guys. I come out and, I consider myself to be a very self-motivated guy. I try to get all the other guys into the game, and I think we did a good job with it. We came with the intensity, and we said we wanted to come out and start fast. That's one of our fundamentals, and play hard and get everybody to the ball, and I think we did a good job with it.
Bortles to Kerry Taylor gives the Jaguars a gain of 15, and then there's a carry by Denard Robinson that is also a gain of 6. So, Derek, the defensive line seemed to have that energy that you're constantly looking for in a game situation. Is that something that you can create every week, or does that just happen in this first game?
Oh no, it's something that we sure we want to build on. We added 2 guys that was on a Super Bowl team last year, guys that knew what it took to get to that next level. And we already pride ourselves on rush and cover. Those guys always give us good points, and we just try to go out and keep that intensity going. If we can get a good rush and our guys covering the back end, I think we can always get to the quarterback. And I think we did a good job with that.
Senderick, I want to ask you, I'm asking an offensive question, but what do you think about the young quarterback, Blake Bortles?
Oh, man, I'm excited. I'm excited for Blake probably more than he probably nervous, but the crowd is into it. He got a great standing ovation when he came out, and I think he's playing real comfortable. So that's good for us, and that's good for him also.
So, Derek, one of the things that we've talked about in training camp is how this team has a thread of personality that runs through every guy. Guys want to be competitive. Guys like being on this team, don't they?
Oh yeah, and every guy has that ability to just come in and the workplace is set up like that. To where we can come out and come to work and have fun, get our job done, and everybody believe in what Gus is really building around the facilities. It's good for us. Everybody can be their self, and we all go out and get our work done. We have fun with it, and it just seems like we grow as a team and as people, as men, we grow together.
Senderick, talk about your head coach.
Oh, Gus is a great guy, man. I mean, everybody sees it, and you kind of wonder, like, is it real? Is it true? It's exactly what you see. He's a guy, he come in, he allows everybody to do your job and do it your way. As long as you're not breaking, none of our team rules, and we only have 3. And as long as you're not bringing another guy down, go out and get your work done. I mean, he's all for it, and nobody mind playing for him. We have a good time while we out working.
So, Derek, you had a fabulous start. Keep it up. Stay healthy.
Hey, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Senderick Marks, of course, one of the stalwarts of the Jaguars on that defensive line. Jaguars had a nice throw and catch from Bortles to Taylor again for a gain of 10. And then the throw to Mike Brown, which was also complete, but Brown called for pushing off, and it moved the ball back at this point. Brady Ewing is now in the game at the wearing number 33. He is the up back there in the formation, and that is Denard Robinson at tailback. We felt like we would see a lot of him in the second half. Bortles steps to throw, and there's the over-the-middle throw to Mike Brown, who catches the ball hangs on to it. Bortles is down. It's a gain of 31, and we'll see if that's a roughing the passer call back in the backfield.
Personal foul. Defense, number 97. 15-yard penalty added to the end of the run. Automatic first down.
So the gain, and then again 15 more yards. Bortles stands in here, Mark.
Sam, it takes courage to stand in that pocket. He's in there confident. He's looking downfield. Knows he's going to get hit. The best thing about it, he just popped right back up.
Jaguars now in scoring territory in that red zone. Some teams call it the green zone. You can see Bortles 6 of 9 and now over 100 yards passing, and he's played 21 plays. I think this is more than Gus anticipated, but I think he likes what he sees so far. 1st and 10 from the 15. Bortles under center, hands it to Denard Robinson, who gets 2 or 3 off the left side, and it'll be 2nd and 7.
You know, Sammy's 6 of 9, and 2 of those were drops. I mean, he is.
That's very true. Yeah, throwing the ball well, stood in there, looks like a quarterback.
He has a presence about him, Sam. And you know, in talking to Jed Fish before the game, he said this: "I believe this kid is special." I think we're seeing that. I think we all believe that he's special.
Tom Coughlin told me the same thing about you, so that's what I'm hoping that this is absolutely true based on your career as well.
Well, I like what I see with this young man.
2nd and 9, nice move on the outside, and it's completed once again. The Jaguars are executing those timing plays. This one to Brown, who holds on to it and is taken down inside the 10 at about the 8-yard line.
Watch Blake here. He looks to the right and gets the ball out. It's a quick slant. The route, Mike Brown sets his foot in the ground, cuts inside. The ball's thrown right on his chest. I think those receivers are liking Blake Bortles right now.
That was exactly as you draw it up. Good timing, good throw, good route. Just what you're looking for. 3rd and 4 for the Jaguars. Scoring territory here. Bortles in the shotgun. Looks, little slant that is dropped. Chad Bumpus can't hold on to it, and that'll bring up 4th down. Let's see what Gus does here. This is an easy opportunity for Josh Scobie, and they won't give Scobie the opportunity actually to do that.
Well, Blake Bortles throws an accurate throw, maybe a little bit high. One thing, he's upset with himself right there. He knows he gets that ball and puts it in receiver's chest. That's a completion.
Casey Redfern will get a chance to show his leg from 26 yards out.
We know Scobie can make this.
Yeah, we know Scobie can make these. And the kick is up and good. The Jaguars now take a 10-3 lead here in the 3rd quarter. 4:04 remaining in the 3rd. This is Jaguars football. What's really hot? Hot in Cleveland, now 5 nights a week. Starting September 15th at 8 o'clock on WJXT Channel 4, the local station. Mark, we might have seen the last of Blake Bortles for the evening on that drive. 4 of 5 for 62 yards. Bortles 7 of 11 for 117 in his debut. And there he is sitting with Chad Henne and Jed Fish once again going over. Are they looking at pictures, or what are they doing there?
Sam, they give printouts of pictures. That's exactly what they're looking at. Just pictures of the defense and something that the quarterbacks and really anybody on the sidelines can study in anticipation of the next series, finding out what defenses are doing to attack them. I want more Bortles.
More Bortles.
I want more Bortles.
More Bortles for Brunell, please. Here's the kickoff taken at the goal line by Tampa Bay. And a good solid strike there just outside the 10-yard line as the Jaguars make the stop, and Tampa Bay will take over down by a touchdown. We'll be back with 4 minutes to go in the 3rd. This is Jaguars football. Receive real-time updates, the latest videos and photos, and in-stadium fan information all in one place. Download the official Jaguars mobile app today. Nice solid defensive special teams play made by Craig Lawston, the safety number 39. Lets the Tampa Bay Buccaneers set up shop just around the 15-yard line. 1st and 10 with 4 minutes to play here in the third. Down by a touchdown, 10-3. This is the situation, Mark, we alluded to after a gain of 1. You get a chance to go in the game, you got to make a play now. Can't roll into it after 2 or 3 plays. You got to make a play right now.
You know, these young guys, this is their opportunity, as we have talked about before. You do not get a lot of opportunities. There are not a lot of roster spots available. The coaches know and have their players in specific positions and have a plan laid out. You know, for these young guys, they don't get a lot of opportunities, but this is time for them to shine.
2nd and 9. Mike Glennon is still the quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Glennon with the handoff to the deep back. And Tampa Bay will now have 3rd down after the gain by Charlie Sims of 1. 3rd and about 8. See some of these names in there. That David Carter out of UCLA, a 3rd-year player who is trying to catch on with the Jaguars, signed by the Jaguars. Obviously, one of those guys that you say, you know, there's not a spot for him, but if he shows up, there's not much you can do about it. You saw Joe Young. You see Telvin Smith there, number 50, as Glennon has 3 wide receivers, now 4 in the pattern. Good solid pressure, but Glennon does escape, stays behind the line of scrimmage, floats one to the tight end, and making the catch is, I believe it's either Safarian Jenkins or Brandon Myers, but he does get away from the pressure here, Mark, and that's one of the things that a quarterback's taught to do.
Yeah, they are taught to do. Gerald Rivers gets some pressure. Glennon does a good job of getting out of the pocket and staying alive.
Floats it out there to Safarian Jenkins, who's the rookie out of the University of Washington. There's a player down on the field, and we will check on that, and we will that's a Nate Stuper. We'll check on that right here on the Jaguars television. Hey, Jags fans, make sure to stop by any one of the 16 area Dick's Wings and Grill before or after any Jaguars games. Dick's Wings and Grills, the 16 different locations. Jaguars up 10-3 here. 2:22 remaining in the third. Tampa Bay with a 1st down at their own 40. That was Nate Stuper who came out of the game. Alan Bradford is now in at middle linebacker. Glennon with the play fake. Checks it down. Charles Sims with the catch. And a lot after that. Chris Preseason runs him out of bounds.
Good decision by Glennon there, of course. Busted coverage. There was no one in the flat. Allowed for a short pass and a long run.
Gain of 27 for Tampa Bay. 1st and 10 now from the 33. Jaguars changing personnel. Telvin Smith comes back in the game. Mike Harris is also now in the game at one of the defensive backs. Chris Preseason, who started a bunch of games last year, also is in at one of the safety positions. With a little reverse, the Jaguars have just enough to keep that from happening.
Good pursuit by Gerald Rivers there.
Nice job by Gerald Rivers. Gain of 5. Sky Dawson with the carry. You see Rivers just gets enough of a hand on him to get him on the ground.
Well, he's one of those guys at the Leo position, those linebackers / pass rushers that have speed.
Glennon with 5 receivers, including the tight end now. Looks like they're going to get into the pattern. Empty backfield. Jaguars do blitz, and a nice release by Glennon over the middle. Once again, Robert Heron with the catch. And a gain of 10.
Excellent catch by Heron. Ball was thrown behind him.
Nice catch. 6th round draft pick out of Wyoming this year. And that takes the ball down to the 18-yard line. Tampa Bay is driving with Mike Glennon at the controls. The hand to the deep back, and a big hole opens up, and he takes advantage of it. Mike James with the carry, a gain of 11. And that'll be another 1st down, this time on about the 6-yard line. just to make sure that we get it right, Mark, and I checked my notes. He says his name Heron. Heron.
Okay.
Yes.
This is the end of the third quarter.
Heron helps them down, as does Charles Sims and Mike James. Mike Glennon's still in the game. Tampa Bay's driving here on the Jaguars Television Network. Jacksonville Jaguars football is brought to you by Everbank, the official bank of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Bud Light, who reminds fans to stay in the game and drink responsibly. And by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit us today at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO.
Welcome back, everybody. You know, this is one of the spots where everybody wanted to be. We're here in the Cabanas, right next to the spas. What kind of experience has this been?
Las Vegas to Jacksonville. He brought the nightlife of Vegas to Jacksonville and put it at a football stadium. It's definitely a once in a lifetime experience. I will definitely be back for all the games.
A lot of people have been in the pool tonight.
It's amazing. It's the Shad Khan experience. There's people having a great time. Everybody's in the pool having drinks, having a good time. You couldn't ask for anything more.
Yeah, it is very crowded up here, guys, and everybody is having a lot of fun.
Tampa Bay's first attempt here inside the 10-yard line is bottled up by the Jaguars. It'll bring up second and goal from about the 6-yard line.
Good opportunity for these young defensive linemen to show what they have.
You see this in practice when they practice goal line. I mean, it's for real, and this is for real again for them. And as you said, a good opportunity for them to show exactly what they might have. Glennon now in the shotgun. 3 wide receivers. Low snap, looks right, throws it into the end zone, and it is broken up. Interestingly enough, Mark, a lot of people wonder about that play. You break that play up as Harris did, but he never looked back. He just kept running, and he knew that the receiver was going to run out of room.
Well, Sam, you've seen that route before. Obviously, I don't know if he broke it up. His back of his helmet broke that up. Nevertheless, it was defended well.
This is the 10th play of the drive for Tampa Bay. 3rd and goal from the 6. Motion to the right, 3 wide receivers. Glennon with the snap. Looks, plenty of time. Over the middle, and that is caught for a touchdown.
Well, you give a quarterback enough time, he's going to find somebody, especially when you're sending out 5 in the route. A little breakdown of coverage in the middle by the Jaguar defense. Tampa scores.
Tampa Bay scores. Tommy Streeter, first-year player out of Miami, a 6-yard touchdown pass from Glennon, and the conversion will tie this game up at 10-10. Remember, and we'll see it here, it's very odd to see them come off the goal line.
It doesn't look
to
right,
kick
Sam.
The extra point.
It's still different.
Now, this is an experiment that the league is doing for the first 2 preseason games, so we'll see that this week, and we'll see it next week in Chicago as well. And then they'll determine exactly what they think of it from a competitive standpoint. If you were to go for 2, by the way, they do put the ball back on the 2-yard line.
Which is fair.
Yeah. So this will give the Tampa Bay an opportunity to tie the game at 10. And the kick is up. And it's good. That makes it 10-10 with 14:03 to play here in the 4th quarter. Back live from Jacksonville in a tie game right here. This is Jaguars football. 10-10 in Jacksonville between the Jaguars and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. As we're in the 4th quarter, and our guest here in the 4th quarter is the president of the Jacksonville Jaguars, Mark Lamping. Mark, welcome. Great to see you here tonight.
I have to tell you, I've been monitoring the broadcast, and you guys are in postseason form. The team's in preseason form, but you guys have been awesome, and the production quality is over the top, and having Channel 4, the hometown station, back a part of this, couldn't be anything better in our 20th season.
Thank you, Mark. I really appreciate that. We certainly have enjoyed it, and I know that the fans have enjoyed it as they kick off. Tampa Bay does to Chad Hall, who takes it at the goal line, comes out with blockers in front of him, Ball from Air Force is stopped just outside the 15-yard line, and that's where the Jaguars will start. It appears that Ricky Stanzi will be the next quarterback that we see. Mark, I know that when you debuted this on July the 26th, afterwards you said exceeded every expectation we had, and tonight shows it once again.
Well, it did. We had somewhat low expectations on July 26th, but, you know, things are going great, and, you know, there's a lot of energy in Everbank Field, and, you know, we haven't had that for a preseason game in quite some time, and we've got a long way to go. We have to get the product on the field better, but, you know, I think we're pointing in the right direction.
Mark, I'd agree with you, of course. I have to ask you, and I think a lot of people want to know, tell us how these spas came about. Whose idea was it? I mean, this is, I think, as you can tell, the fans are loving it. They've been full the whole game. Where did that start?
Well, there's, you know, good ideas have a lot of people that are behind them, but, you know, what we really wanted to try to do is develop a personality for Everbank Field that's, you know, genuinely and uniquely Jacksonville, and we have so much to be proud of here. This is such a wonderful place to live, and there's no reason why we shouldn't show it off. And now when people tune in here and they're going to see some of these things, they'll know it's Jacksonville, and there's a lot to be proud of by having to be blessed to live here.
Denard Robinson brought down at the 15-yard line after a game of one. Mark, this is not the end either. You guys continue to have plans about what to do, the upgrade of the fan experience. I know that there was a lot of talk in this last week about Levi's Stadium and the points of contact they have for internet downloads and personal replays, and all those are somewhere in the plan here for the stadium.
Well, we'll have Wi-Fi connectivity by the first regular season game, so our fans will be able to do that. And, you know, great buildings, and we think Everbank Field is and can continue to be a great building, but they need to evolve, and our fans' interests and our fans' desires and you know, what our fans want continue to change, and we need to keep up with that.
Mark, what are your impressions of the team so far in this first preseason game?
You know, I'd say they look good in the white uniforms. You know, you know, if you ask me to sort of break down the offense or defense, you know, you'd be asking the wrong guy. But you know, there's a lot of spirit, that's for sure. And you know, Gus has done such a great job of taking a situation that clearly was a rebuilding situation. And you know, a lot of times people aren't willing to admit when you have a talent deficit, it's really hard to get things done. And you know, if the players believe and they continue to provide their best effort, you know, great things can happen, but it's going to take time.
Mark, we appreciate your time and congratulations on all the success that we've had here. I love how you talk about Jacksonville and the opportunities that we have here. So great to see you once again.
And to have you behind the microphone, Sam's awesome.
Thank you, Mark.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Mark.
it. This is Jaguars football. Why sit at home when you can be a part of the NFL's greatest game day experience? With a great schedule and the world's largest video boards, the best seat in the house is right here at Everbank Field. Single game seats are on sale now, and you can get one for just $45. Visit Jaguars.com for more information. 10-10 in Jacksonville, 11:50 in the fourth. Mike Kafka is the quarterback, and that is a nice completion, and that'll be a long throw and catch out of bounds earlier. The catch for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers takes it all the way deep into Jaguar territory, but there is a flag on the play. Safarian Jenkins with the catch, 48 yards.
Offense, number 67. 10-yard penalty. Replay, first down.
Holding on Tampa Bay, which moves it back. And Mark, here's the penalty.
Well, Mike Captain does a very good job. Play action passes, looks down the field, and he is about to get smacked. Yeah, that's never any fun. He stood in there nice, threw a very nice, accurate ball. Mike Kafka, journeyman that has been with the Eagles and hasn't been around a long time, but a reliable quarterback, and perhaps he makes this Tampa Bay team.
A couple of starts with Philadelphia out of Northwestern. Obviously a guy that knows the professional game and reliable. 1st and 20. And the handoff goes wide, and Down he goes after a short gain.
It's a pretty good hit by Jeremy Harris.
Yeah,
I heard that up here.
That really is. And pretty shifty, lot of movement. Jeff Demps trying to get to the corner, because if he's got some of the best straight line speed, Olympic speed, obviously, and if you keep him from turning his shoulders, you've done your job.
Yeah, you're right, Sam.
Kafka looks, and the ball is tipped at the line of scrimmage, and that'll fall incomplete, bring up 3rd and 20.
Well, nothing is more frustrating for a quarterback when he has an open receiver. He's throwing to his tight end there, and then you see DeAndre Coleman. No, excuse me, not DeAndre. That's David Carter. Gets his hands up and bats it down. It happens.
David Carter's in the game. Marcus Whitfield, the rookie free agent from the University of Maryland, is in the game, playing that auto position that they are trying to develop this year. Big play here defensively for the Jaguars. 3rd and 20 for Tampa Bay. Kafka with a 3-step drop, dumps it off to Demps out on the outside. Shows some of that speed, and after a gain of 9, that'll bring up 4th down, and the Jaguars have an opportunity to get the ball back. Josh Hull with the stop. Hull is, you hear a lot of these names, Mark, and you wonder, but every one of these guys looks about the same when you look at them, 4th or 5th year players. I mean, Hull, 5th year player out of Penn State.
Right.
And you see a lot of that on the Jaguar roster now, whether it's draft picks from Miami or Southern Cal or Penn State or UCF, big programs. And you see a lot of guys trying to make this team who have played football, played 3-4 years. Chad Hall takes the ball at the 30, makes a couple of nice moves and gains about 7. Gets up to about the 37-yard line, where the Jaguars will get the ball. A 46-yard punt and a 7-yard return. We'll be right back with more. This is Jaguars football. 10-10 in Jacksonville between the Buccaneers and the Jaguars. 9:43 remaining in the 4th. Mark, time for our Bud Light play of the game.
Well, Sam, this is an easy one.
That's an easy call.
No doubt about it. Winston Guy at that free safety position. Ball is overthrown. What I love about it, he wants to score. He's not interested in just securing that ball. He wants to get a touchdown. Good jump there. Keeps his feet. Breaks the tackle. 6 points.
6 points for the Jaguars, and that is our Bud Light play of the game. Ricky Stanzi to Denard Robinson. And then jumps over one would-be tackler and gains about 7. Gain of 5 officially, and that'll bring up 2nd and 5 for the Jaguars. Denard Robinson is an interesting guy because they've tried to find a variety of different ways to get him the football, Mark. They put him in a slot position a lot last year. They tried to run reverses on some cases. Now they want to try to get him at that tailback position.
Well, he's a talented player, and last year, of course, he was listed as an offensive weapon, and he is just that. He can play the slot. He can play at the running back position. Very, very talented young man that has a bright future.
Ricky Stanzi 1 for 1 for 8 yards. And there's a little pitch to the outside. Once again, tucking inside, and the Jaguars will get some positive yardage there. Terrence Cobb, a free agent from Cumberland.
In Kentucky.
Cumberland, Kentucky?
It's in Kentucky.
Yeah.
That's all I know. I haven't heard a lot about Cumberland, Sam.
Well, then I'm...
But hopefully we'll hear a lot from Terrence Cobb.
That's exactly
How about that?
That's exactly right. 3rd and 3, big down here for the Jaguars. Nobody wants to go to overtime in the preseason, Mark. Stanzi with some room, looks around, dumps it off. Good. It's complete for the 1st down.
He stays alive. He gets outside. He finds an open receiver and converts that 3rd down. There haven't been a lot of 3rd down conversions tonight, Sam.
Lamar Thomas, 1st-year player out of New Mexico, makes the catch, and that moves the chains. The Jaguars go up-tempo here with just over 8 minutes to play in a tie game in Jacksonville. Stanzi hands the ball off. Once again to Cobb, who's stacked up in the middle. Inside the 50, gain of 1.
Well, Sam, with the score at 10-10, this is an opportunity for Ricky Stanzi to go win this football game. This is an important drive for him. We were told earlier that the that all 4 quarterbacks would play. So perhaps this is his last season or series. Excuse me. Stephen Morris could be up next.
Stanzi is a 4th-year player out of Iowa. The coaches were so impressed with how hard he worked in the offseason. When he came back, he developed his core. He did a lot of work in the offseason to really make himself a better player. Little drop-off, little dump-off once again to Cobb, but that is sniffed out by Tampa Bay, and he's taken down after a gain of 2. And now 3rd down and about 7 from the 45. When you watch practice, Mark, and you see Stanzi throw the ball comes out of his hand.
It comes out quick, yes. Yep. He has a good throwing motion. He's got some zip on the ball. I like him. You know, the hard part here, Sam, is that the Jaguars most likely will keep 2 quarterbacks. Only 2.
Very possible. In motion once again is Marcel Jensen. Stanzi steps, waits for the break, and fires it in there, and there we go. That quick motion, and there's a couple of flags on the play.
And that's a head-to-head contact. That's what the flag's going to be.
And you see all the players waving the training staff on, and it's certainly, you know, one of the giant points of emphasis of the beginning of last year.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, defense, number 44. Contact on a defenseless receiver, 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
Lamar Thomas with the 7-yard reception, and he is still down, so we'll take a quick break and be back. This is Jaguars football. Lamar Thomas is fine, walked off the field under his own power, and Mark, here's the hit.
Yeah, this is what you don't like to see in a football game, and such an emphasis on player safety. Boy, that's tough.
And that's so clearly illegal these days.
It really is.
5 years ago, they say that's a good hit. Now the players have been educated over and over and over on that, and you just have to realize that they're going to play the game in a different way.
Well, the defensive backs are playing at full speed, you know, and it's not their intention to get penalties or hurt anybody, but with the nature of the game, sometimes those collisions happen.
Jaguars with the football and first down. Beautiful little pitch. Denard Robinson easily steps into the end zone. Touchdown, Jacksonville Jaguars. A 23-yard run by Denard Robinson gives the Jaguars the lead here with 6:27 in the 4th.
Boy, we saw some speed there.
I mean, he gets to the corner, and it looked like he'd done this before.
You're not catching Denard Robinson on this. I don't know how he does it with those shoelaces untied.
And loves it. And I tell you what, here's a guy who was in college. I mean, he was on the cover of, NCAA, the video game.
Yeah.
This guy was an absolute superstar. You go in the locker room, you'd never know. He's just one of those guys that's trying to make the team.
Great personality. I believe he has a bright future. Oh, boy.
The snap is dropped, and consequently no opportunity to try to kick it. But there might have been a little bit of a whistle going. This first 2 preseason games, of course, will be this experiment.
Illegal substitution, defense.
Ooh, wow.
12 men on the field prior to the snap.
So we'll get another chance. Casey Redfern will get another opportunity to kick it here. And Brian Anger is the regular holder.
Jacksonville has elected to enforce the 5-yard penalty on the kickoff. We will now retry the point after attempt.
So now, I guess they're going to move the ball back to the 15, right? Yeah, they'll take the ball back to the 15 if they're going to enforce it on the kickoff. And again, Mark, this is an experiment for 2 preseason games.
Correct.
This week and next week. And the Jaguars apparently now have decided.
Jacksonville has elected to enforce the penalty from the 2-yard line to the 2-yard line and now go for 2. And the 5-yard penalty will still carry over to the kickoff.
Okay, so this is the new experiment. If you're going to try to kick it, it's from the 15. If you're going to try to go for 2, the ball should be placed on the 2-yard line, I believe.
Sam, I'm glad you know the rules.
That ball's on the 1.
I'm not sure the referee does.
And half the distance to the goal, I guess, because of the penalty, but it'll also be enforced on the kickoff,
yes,
I suppose. We'll see. They're coming over to explain it to Gus. Okay, you're going to go for 2? And that's part of the discussion here. And everybody's getting used to the new experiment to see. What do you think? What do you think from kicking it back there? I don't think, you know what? Kickers are so good. The accuracy is so good. That doesn't make any difference.
It really doesn't.
Jacksonville has elected to go from the 2-yard line to the 1-yard line and go for a 2-point conversion.
So it will not be enforced on the kickoff then. Instead, half the distance to the goal line here, and an opportunity for Ricky Stanzi. Now, this is another one of those situational
football, right? Yes. It's an opportunity to, this will happen in regular season. Let's let this football team find out what they can do.
Stanzi with the straight handoff. Oh, Tampa Bay stuffs it right at the line of scrimmage. And once again, Terrence Cobb with the carry from the 1, and he doesn't get in. So the Jaguars will hold a 16-10 lead here in the 4th quarter. See, Cobb just kind of gets his legs just kind of cut right there at the 1 and couldn't quite get in. Pretty good drive by the Jaguars. Nice run by obviously Denard Robinson, and that is our Geico drive of the game. Saw some good plays there by Terrence Cobb.
Yeah, I like this by Ricky Stanzi, keeping a drive alive, converting a 3rd down, and boy, Denard Robinson, look at the speed. Cuts that ball and he goes to score.
Gets to the corner. Drive of the game brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit us today at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. Ricky Stanzi on that drive, by the way, marked 3 of 3 for 22 yards. And maybe most importantly, like you said, kept some plays alive.
Yeah, he did. And I mentioned it earlier, the chances of the Jaguars keeping 3. That is a trend in the NFL lately that teams, to use another roster spot, they're sticking with 2 quarterbacks. 2 qualified quarterbacks in Blake Bortles, as we've seen tonight, and Chad Henne, who will be the starter in 2014. Ricky Stanzi may be auditioning for another football team, but a good effort tonight.
The Bucs will bring it out from about 7 yards deep, and a good return outside the 20-yard line, as Tampa Bay is now down by 6, a 31-yard return. And Solomon Patton brings it out. 6:19 remaining here in the 4th. You look in the defensive huddle for the Jaguars. I see Chris Przezinski is in the game. Chris Smith is still in the game. Whitfield is in the game.
Harris is still out there.
Harris is still a part of it. And it's 1st and 10 for Tampa Bay. Handoff inside, and after about a gain of 2, brought down. Bring up 2nd and 8. See a lot of the names that we have seen here in the last few series. Mark on defense. Jeff Demps, of course, still playing at that tailback position. Demps, a lot of people weren't sure whether he would be able to make it in the NFL, and he's bounced around a little bit. Obviously, he has that blazing speed, but you've got to be able to get through the line of scrimmage to take advantage of it.
Yeah, you really do. Florida Gator, a very good career there, of course.
Little swing pass out once again by Kafka, this time to Severian Jenkins. And that'll bring up a 3rd down after a gain of 7. Once again, Mark, you mentioned Ricky Stanzi could be auditioning for another team. Mike Kafka could be auditioning for other teams. Every time you step on the field in the National Football League, somebody in one of those other 31 teams is looking at you.
Oh, they're looking at you, and that's what personnel departments are for. They are in search of players that can help their football team at every position.
3rd and 2. Handoff, and I don't know. That's a pretty good, solid defensive stop by the Jaguars. That'll bring up I believe, a 4th down situation.
Very good defensive stop here. There's some big bodies on the defensive line.
Mike James,
nowhere to go.
Mike James just didn't have anywhere to go. Coleman in there. Havel Heimul with the stop.
I'm glad you said that name.
Good, solid player. Rookie free agent from Oregon. Chad Hall again back to receive the punt, as the Jaguars will get the ball with just over 4 minutes to play. This one goes out of bounds. And the Jaguars have a 16-10 victory. Here's tonight's Everbank catch of the game. And this is the first completion by Blake Bortles. He steps back and he puts his foot in the ground, Mark.
Like I said, it looks like he's been doing it for years. Confident, poised, strong arm, accurate. Very impressive.
And Blake Bortles joins us live from the sideline. Blake, what was it like stepping out there? We talked to your dad earlier. He said it was absolutely a dream come true.
Yeah, it really was. You know, it's an honor. It's, you know, a blessing, and you know, couldn't be more excited and happy to be here playing in Jacksonville and have an opportunity to step out there with my teammates tonight.
Well, Blake, we would certainly grade you pretty high. How would you grade yourself? What about your performance tonight?
I think I played all right. You know, obviously there's still room for improvement. There's footwork things that I know I didn't do right. A couple bad balls here and there. But I think for the most part it was a successful night, you know, as an offense, and we'll try and continue to grow and get better.
As we expected, Stephen Morris is getting some action here. We were told that all 4 quarterbacks would play. Blake, when you got on the field, anything surprise you? I mean, the speed of the game obviously steps up from practice.
Right. You know, I think we did a great job the past couple of days preparing and getting good looks. So, you know, we came out and it was similar to practice. Obviously, it's a little more faster, a little more up-tempo being in a game situation, but it was a lot of fun.
Blake, what part of your game needs to improve? What's your emphasis these next 3 weeks of preseason?
I think footwork. Footwork's been the thing for me for a while, and it's something that I'll continue to work on. It's a process. It's not going to happen overnight, and it's definitely something that I'm to the point where I know where I'm doing the wrong thing now, so I got to just make the right thing muscle memory and kind of go from there.
You said you didn't want to take any shots, do anything unnecessary. Did things look as you expected them to look when you looked into the backfield once you stepped back there?
Yeah, they really did. You know, the offensive line did a great job of protecting, and our guys did a great job of getting open. So, you know, I kind of had the easy job of getting the ball and spreading it around.
Were you nervous? Be honest.
I wasn't. I was anxious and excited to get out there. I wouldn't say nervous at all.
Well, you did a great job. Excellent night. You'll always remember your first reps in the NFL. So,
no doubt.
Good job tonight, Blake.
Thank you, guys.
Blake Bortles, of course, had an excellent night for the Jaguars, and now Stephen Morris with a scramble and a gain of 11 gives the Jaguars
Tampa Bay
a first down, and Tampa Bay calls a timeout. Stephen, of course, signed as an undrafted free agent out of the University of Miami, has a long-standing relationship with Jed Fish. And, you know, one of the things that quarterbacks in the league have to do is use their legs. Mark, you did this a lot very early in your career.
You've got to be able to move your legs, and we saw it from all our quarterbacks tonight. We saw it from Chad Henne, Blake Bortles. Stanzi got outside the pocket, converted a third down, and this young man, Stephen Morris, can do the same thing, if not better than the other 3 guys ahead of him. He's very athletic. You said it, Sam. Jed Fish is familiar with his abilities, his strengths, and he's going to utilize those.
35 seconds. 2:35 on the game clock.
2:35 remaining here in the game. Jaguars with a 16-10 lead. And this is interesting. Look at the 3 guys all standing there, Mark. We haven't seen this on the Jaguar team in quite a while.
Well, Gus said earlier that it's a good quarterback room. They work well together. Each of them is trying to get the other one better. They have good attitudes. They're character guys. They're hardworking. Not every quarterback room, Sam, is a good quarterback room. Sometimes there's so much competition they don't get along real well. That's not the case for the Jaguars this season.
Nice job by Terrence Cobb bouncing off and getting some positive yards there. Gain of 3.
Timeout Tampa Bay. Their 3rd and final of the game.
Tampa Bay stops.
Timeout.
Tampa Bay stops the clock here before the 2-minute warning. 2:28 remaining, and that is their final timeout here in the second half. So the Jaguars can run what is sometimes called the 4-minute offense, right?
Yeah,
where you're just trying to grind the clock down and move the chains a couple of
that's
times.
exactly right, and coaches work on this. They're working on the practice. They have special periods just for the 4-minute offense, and the parameters are this: you stay in bounds, you do not throw incompletes, and obviously you don't turn the ball over. And they drilled this, and this is situational football. It's important for this football team to be very good in 4-minute. Hopefully there's a lot of opportunities this year for a four-minute drill. They want to get a first down and win this football game.
Another run by Terrence Cobb up the middle. Stephen Morris is still at quarterback, and the Jaguars will no doubt let this go down to the 2-minute warning, and it'll be 3rd and 5 after the 2-minute warning. A lot of really good situations that the coaches are going to love looking at this film.
They really are. We just had the ball at the 1-yard line, and that was important. We've had a 2-minute drill before half. This is 4-minute. Great situational football.
More situational football coming up on the Jaguars Television Network. Time now for the Bueller Player of the Game, brought to you by Bueller Swiss Watches. Mark, it's not player, it's players.
As it should be. No question. This defensive front, they want to get pressure on the quarterback. They want to stop the run, and they did just that. Chris Clements and Derek Marks was phenomenal tonight. Roy Miller, Red Bryant, Jags got to be happy about it.
You love how those guys play, too. I mean, they just go out there and play, and Gus preaches that constantly. You know, don't think about it. Get right in practice, and then get on the field and play.
Yeah, you're exactly right. They play with a lot of passion, Sam.
Big 3rd down for the Jaguars, and they decide to stay on the ground. Get it inside the 50 down to about the 46-yard line, a gain of 1. Once again, Terrence Cobb getting a lot of work here in the 4th quarter. And that'll bring up 4th down, and the Jaguars elect to punt.
Well, Sam, they want to kill that clock, of course, but I was hoping they'd give Stephen an opportunity to throw it. You get a first down, this game's over, but they're going with the conservative approach on this last drive.
Casey Redfern is in the punt. We've seen, of course, Brian Anger, and we know what he can do. Mark, this is a good example of a guy getting an opportunity to show what he can do if in case other teams need somebody to punt the football.
It is an audition for other teams. Our punter and our kicker, they are secure. They're not going anywhere. Opportunity for Redfern.
Redford does a nice job, gets the ball out of bounds there at about the 11. And Tampa Bay will take over down 16-10. No timeouts remaining. 1:14 remaining on the clock after a 35-yard punt by Casey Redfern. And yes, by the way, Redfern did also kick in the game. So he is pulled double duty. And if you find somebody who is effective doing both of those,
a lot of value.
And a lot of value there, because that's another roster spot. And you remember some of the teams that you played on. Tom Coughlin thought so highly of Mike Hollis that he kept Hollis on the team as the field goal kicker and brought a different guy in to kick off.
Well, that's those positions, you know, kickers get teased a lot in the locker room, Sam, but you got to have them.
Got to have them.
You want them to be good, and we certainly have some good kickers here in Jacksonville.
Mike Kafka, 2 of 3 for 14 yards so far. This ball's batted in the air, and Nome falls to the ground, but a nice play at the line of scrimmage. Bradford was chasing after it, but a very nice batted ball, and the Jaguars now with 110 and a 6-point lead are still getting after it, and this is what coaches are looking for.
Yeah, they are looking for that. The ball gets tipped again, and this is Allen Bradford's almost picked for 6. You talk about taking advantage of an opportunity. That would have been an exclamation point on this football game.
I think that's the second ball that David Carter has batted down in this game. Nice throw by Kafka, and a nice defensive play after the catch is made. This is what Jamel Fleming is taught to do. If he does get in position and make the catch in front of you, make the good solid hit and get your hand in there and try to knock the ball.
Yeah, he did a good job. It was an excellent route by the receiver. Well defended. He got a hand in there. The receiver did not secure that ball into his chest. Fleming got it out. Did what he was coached to do.
Robert Huron, the draft pick out of Wyoming, with the near reception. 3rd and 10 for Tampa Bay. Kafka with a little pressure, and again the ball is knocked down. You know, Kafka's not a real tall guy in the pocket. He's maybe 6'1", somewhere in there. But in this case, DeAndre Coleman got his hand on the ball.
We've mentioned his name a lot tonight. DeAndre is having a good football game.
Well, they're giving a lot of these guys. I'm impressed that the coaching staff is giving some of these guys a really good look. You know, not just 4 or 5 plays, but 3, 4, 5 series, an opportunity to really show that you also have the conditioning to continue to play at this level.
You know, looking at that defensive line, there's some big boys there. I imagine this 4th quarter, you've got to be in good condition. There it is again.
4th down pass is behind the receiver, and that falls incomplete. Fleming once again on the defense, and the Jaguars will take over and run the clock out with just under a minute at 57 seconds and a 16-10 lead, and Tampa Bay with no way to stop the clock. Have the Jaguars practiced the victory formation at this point?
You know what? I believe they have. You know, in training camp, you always practice the victory formation because sometimes it's a different personnel group, and you know, if you don't practice it, you don't know where to line up. So let's see. We'll be able to tell. Oh yeah, they've practiced it.
Stephen Morris 1 for 1 for 10 yards in the passing department, and he'll kneel on it one more time before we finish the game here. The Jaguars will come away with a victory in the preseason. Is that important, Mark? Is it important for a young team like this to feel some success?
You know, you always want to win the football game. Anytime you take the field, you compete to win. Does it matter in the overall scheme? Maybe not. But I tell you what, they're going to walk in that locker room feeling good about themselves. They won a football game, but on top of that, there are a lot of really good things they could draw from this football game.
Pretty amazing. I talked with Gus Bradley at the owners meeting, and he said, what's the normal turnover on a team? And I said about 20 of the 53. He said we may have as many as 30 new guys this year, which means guys are really competing out there. There's no question about that. As the Jaguars end up winning 16-10 here over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on a very nice night and a very well executed night here in Jacksonville. Once again, our final score 16-10 as the Jaguars are victorious. Join us for our next preseason telecast. That's 2 weeks from tonight. It's the Jaguars and the Lions from Ford Field in Detroit. Coverage begins at 7 o'clock. Good night from Jacksonville. And now, back to your local station.